What is up, guys? Good evening, and Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate out there. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, and good evening again. If you are joining me here live on Christmas slash first day of Hanukkah, then I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Again, another live little impromptu streaming that I wanted to do here. And to be completely transparent, I got this idea from a couple different wrestling videos that I've seen here on YouTube. So shout out to all the people who are pretty creative out there. What I wanted to do is just kind of take a look at some of the new hires that AEW has brought on board in 2024 and kind of give them a grade. Take a look at what they've done so far, a little quick look at potentially what they could be doing going forward. And yeah, just some quick thoughts on them. It shouldn't take too long. I think there's about maybe 10 or 11 that I have written down here. And again, of course, if you're watching this on replay or if you're watching live, and I get towards the end or anything like that, feel free to drop in the comments if I miss anyone, because I very well could. But I made a little list here, especially the ones that came to mind, the obvious ones, right? And then some of the ones that came in with a decent buzz and then have kind of just maybe fallen off or just haven't seen in a little bit of a little bit of time, right? And it's crazy. So actually, as I was making my little list here, um, like a couple in particular, I was just like, damn, like that was this year. It's just crazy. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. If you are joining me here live, like I said, I really appreciate it. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. The handles are below. Thanks to my guy Sai. Shout out to him. But thank you all as well for joining. I do go live here on YouTube every Saturday morning over at Brass Ring Media on that channel, Brass Ring Media Live, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So definitely subscribe over there. If you have not already, and join us over there Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. I will be there this Saturday morning as well. Like I've said in the past, if you've watched me, I will be going to World's End this year. Obviously this coming Saturday, since it'll be here in Orlando. Super easy trip for me, right around the corner, like barely 20 minutes. So I got lucky with that. So I will be hitting that up. So it'd be pretty cool to maybe get some content from on the site, right, at the arena itself. Maybe go live a little bit later on in the day. We'll see. I've never gone live while like on location or anything like that. It's crazy that it is to say. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If not, I'll just maybe do a video afterwards or go live, whatever, on Sunday. But I'll figure all that out and maybe post something on Twitter. So like I said, if you are not following me on there, definitely feel free to follow me there. I'm not too active on social media, but I try to post when I do end up going live or whatever. But all that BS out of the way, I'm gonna pull up the chats here. Good, or I'm sick of morning, so used to doing morning streams. But good evening, guys. Good evening. And I know Dynamite will be going not live, but will be airing 25-ish minutes, 24 minutes from now. So I won't keep you guys too long. I'll try not to, at least, but if you see me before, you know how I go off on tangents. So I'll try not to be too long, but I just kind of wanted to I debated on even going live too. I was like, man, should I just record this video and just kind of post it later, or should I go live? But I decided to go live. Callie's right here. If you guys can see her, she pops in the screen. My dog. But yeah, decided to pop on live. So I appreciate you guys for popping in. We got Bryce in the chat. What's up? Jesse, what is up, my friend? I appreciate you guys jumping in. We live. Yes, we are live in the chat. What is up? Rewind 89. Good morning. Merry Christmas, Nick. SW. What is up? Da, da, da. What is up, Sean? What is up? Yes, man. Yeah, I was, like I said, man, I do random shit. I pop on randomly, so here we are, man. But yeah, so I'm gonna dive right into it, and this list is in no particular order. And like I was saying earlier, if you guys have any thoughts, anybody that I left out, any comments in general, obviously throw them in the chat, especially as I go through here. And again, this isn't going to be like a real in-depth look at each one of these wrestlers individually, like, or anything like that. It's just kind of like some quick thoughts on where I think they're at grade-wise overall. Right, that old dreaded report card, right? Kind of what we're doing here. I debated on doing like a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 or just a report card or whatever. And for me, letter grades are easier, so that's what I did. But yeah, and again, I kind of was listening and just going through a couple different shows the past like week or so. And I thought this concept was cool. So shout out to all the creators out there who are much more creative than I am. But yeah, quick sip of the ginger ale really quick. And again, shout out. And again, I know there's been some controversy with Canada Dry. But I have faith in you guys. So if you need to sponsor a show, holler at me. Unless I'm about to die, then I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, with that being said, I actually, before I dive into it, I might actually take this toy away from my dog. I will be right back. All right, sorry about that. Before I dove in here, got these great toys for my dogs, but it is loud as f, and it would drive me nuts. And I don't know if you guys could hear in the background, so I didn't want to sit there and have that annoying, just gnawing sound in the background. And I do have my PlayStation on in the background too, so let me know if you guys can hear that and if it's annoying. Yeah, just let me know. But yeah, as I was saying, really quick, it's not gonna be like a full in depth of like each story that they've been going through or anything like that. Just kind of like a brief overview, and a brief letter grade, like a little progress report. Halfway through, or I guess full way through the year for them, but halfway through their tenure with AEW or wherever they're at. Bum bum. Make sure. What up, baby? What up? What up? Da-da-da. Bry Star Sidecast. I don't know what that is, man. You said why don't you sidecast? I'm not sure what that is. And again, if you guys haven't, like, if you're just now popping in, I am super new to all this stuff. So yeah, you guys probably know a lot more than I do. But yeah, I'm not sure what sidecast is, so let me know what that is. Bum. Sean, you have thoughts? I'm sure you do, my friend. I'm sure you do. Rewind. You say World's End should be dope. Too bad. I had to throw this up there. Too bad the Go Taz won't be there, but it should still be fun. Yeah, man, you're still recovering. Still recovering. Oh, Johnny, I was just about to say good evening, but you may be banned. Big Boom was the best hire this year. Stop it. And you know, I don't have him on my list. Kind of makes me cringe just thinking about it. Oh, no, man, no. No, man. We're keeping it festive, man. We're keeping it festive tonight. I can't go down that route. I can't go down that route, but I might end up. But what's up, William? What up? What up? He says surprising on a small Christmas tree in the background. Yeah, man. I don't know. We actually didn't even decorate this year, to be honest with you. Not even in like some bah humbug type stuff, but it's just been a weird year. Just been really busy. Yeah, just kind of focusing on we're like taking some vacation in January and just kind of like putting efforts into that. Um, bum. All right, what's up? What's up? All right, their name is I'm objectively balanced on the ball. All right, so shout out you. You say Mercedes and Ospreay were by far the best signings. Uh, one out of two. One out of two. I could go with. Oh, okay, Brycer. So yeah, kind of. Yeah, I got you. So it's like I saying like when you watch a show, like yeah. I like simulcasting. Yeah. To be honest with you, dude, I have talked about that and thought about that in the past, but I don't know what I'm allowed to do, like copyright wise and like strike wise on YouTube and stuff like that. Like what audio I'm allowed to have in the background. Because I know you guys don't want me narrating the full 2 hours, right? Obviously I know I can't like show the actual footage, right? And like live stream, you know, uh their actual show, right? But and again, like to be completely honest with you, I haven't like watched one where someone's like kind of streaming it themselves. So I don't even know what that looks like. But yeah, I've thought about doing a little bit more research into it, and Size helped me out. He I think Tom Call who does that as well. So I need to check that out. But yeah, maybe in the future though. Maybe in the future if that's something that you guys would be down for. Yeah, I'd be down for it too. Um Ba-ba-bum. Dingwall. 10. Hope I said that right. Apologies if not. You say, I hope a year from now on Christmas the AEW is still here, but I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, dude. They'll definitely still be here. Again, the storylines may not be hidden, but AEW will still be here. Will definitely still be here. What's up, John Smith? What up? What up? You said Merry Christmas. I really enjoyed Hurt Syndicate. I think they have also made a lot of other wrestlers more interesting. If nothing else, MVP has broken Max Caster, Ricochet, and Leo Rush mind. Yeah, so we'll definitely be talking about her syndicate here. Obviously, they'll be on the list. Ringside Renaissance, what up, what up? They're in the chat as well. Shout out to them, obviously. That is their official page. If you haven't followed and subscribed to them, you definitely need to do so. Jesse is on board with them, so definitely needs to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm sure some of you probably have, because I know we've definitely got I've had some people trickle over from them, so I appreciate the love for sure. Sai, you made it. What's up, dude? What up? What up? Happy holidays. Nobody needs a yeah, we all do, man. We all need a drunk Sai. Thank you, man. Thank you, and have one for me too, man. And say hi to Harley for me. What up? What up? Okay. All right, so yes, we are going to get right into it because yeah, and again, it's not going to be too terribly long or in depth, but some thoughts indeed. So we will start off, and again, this list is in no particular order. But I do have Ospreay down. Will Ospreay down first. Technically, he was officially signed, I think, towards the latter part of 2023, November 2003, sometime around then. Because finishing up his obligations, excuse me, in New Japan, and officially made his debut in AEW in 2024. And as a whole, I think, of course, he's had a couple title wins already, right? 2-time international champion, which is kind of crazy to think he's already won the title twice. But I think as a whole with him, the way they brought him in, especially to kind of, in a way, they hit the ground running with him. And it, in my opinion, it looked like they were going to set him up to be the new potential face of AEW. And definitely a main eventer. That was obvious coming into it, right? But a lot, one of the knocks to the AEW, right, is getting hot on someone and then they kind of disappear for a few months, which we'll be getting to a couple people here on the list who have kind of fallen into that bucket. But with Ospreay, he wasn't in that area yet. He came in, and I think there was like maybe a week or two where he wouldn't be on TV, but you do have to take into account the traveling that he's doing as well. So I was really impressed with how he came in, and like I said, kind of hit the ground running, and how they presented him, and just the way he really connected with the fans too. To be fair and to be completely honest, not that I was concerned that he wouldn't be able to connect, but again, especially coming and being in a completely new territory, if you want to kind of call it that, in the North America, the American side of things, American television, week to week television, right? Having to, and again, not that he was on week to week, but he was on a fairly good amount, especially compared to others. And the way he handled it, and the way his character really progressed, and the way he grew on the mic, in my opinion. Yes, there were a few of those promos and those moments where, like the one where he called out Triple H, when Triple H had referenced, like, people weren't on the grind, or if you're not willing to be on the grind, then we don't want you here, or whatever that whole bumbo was. And I, even at that point, I had said, like, yeah, maybe Triple H was indirectly talking about Ospreay, but I don't think he was talking just solely about Ospreay when he made those comments. So that was just kind of odd, like how personally, in my opinion, Ospreay had taken it. And again, if it was directly targeted to him, then touche, like definitely have your right to be upset about that. But I think he kind of took that a little bit more to heart than maybe was necessary, or maybe even intended, in my opinion. That's just me being a third party. But yeah, so he hasn't been completely, 100% and hot on the mic, but I think a mixture of that, and again, just seeing his progression and how he has just really been embraced in regardless of the city, right? It didn't have to be just a Chicago, a Boston, one of those main cities that you expect your diehard, especially AEW, your diehard wrestling fans to be in, and to know the whole story of Ospreay, and to know even much more of Ospreay's history than someone like I do. but he just grew, you know, and it doesn't matter if they were in like a Kansas or in Ohio or anywhere like that. He got a great reaction, and that really stood out to me, to the point where I was really, I don't know if that was my official prediction, I can't remember, but I really thought that he excuse me, was going to beat Swerve and become the AEW champion. And I'm very happy that they didn't. There was reports out there that he was against it. He wanted Swerve to, he did essentially not bigfooting in that sense, but he didn't want to necessarily come in there and kind of just like steal the shine and kind of not take over again, because that sounds very harsh, those phrases. But just kind of essentially just take that spot, and I respect that again as well. Now, if that's 100% true or not, even if it's just a little bit true, I respect Ospreay for that, and I personally have become more and more of a fan of him. I appreciate how open he is, with struggles that he goes through and like personal things that he goes through. I believe he said he's like on the spectrum or something, or he has been diagnosed with autism or something to that effect. But he's been very open about like stuff that he deals with and just like different disabilities that he has. So yeah, I appreciate that. So long story short, with Ospreay, I give him a B. I give him a B. I was tempted to give him an A, but the only reason I did not give him an A is because, and again, the grading scale is as a whole, not just them. Well, them as a character, right? But their booking as well and their presentation on TV, because that obviously plays a lot into it. Yes, it's out of, for instance, like Ospreay's control, but it still plays into my investment in them as a fan, right? And if I'm not seeing them on TV weekly or even bi-weekly, or if they're not being presented in a certain spotlight, when I do see them on TV, then how emotionally invested can I be, right? So I say a B for Ospreay, just because I think going into 2025, I think it's really going to pick up with him, and I think, and again, if you've listened to me in the past, I think he's up there in my original pick was Hangman to be the one to dethrone Moxley, but with seeing how invested Hangman has been lately in the title picture already, it'd be kind of weird for them to then go to a singles match with just him and Moxley and have Hangman beat Moxley for the title. So I think, especially with that little seed that they dropped into Ospreay about him, about needing Ospreay to help defend AEW. Again, not going to get into that whole bull BS part of what the storyline is even about. But if we do need a savior, right? If AEW does need a savior, I like that they started planting the seeds with Ospreay. He was straight up. He's like, I need to focus on this tournament for the Continental Classic. I like the struggle that he's going through. I'm not a fan of how much he's been losing. But again, I'm trying to hold out on this one and view it as kind of like the Danielson route. Again, I still think Danielson lost way too much on his title run, or not his title run, but his road to becoming the champion in AEW. But Ospreay is like Danielson in the sense that he can kind of take those L's, you know, and it's getting close to that point, in my opinion, especially if he is going to be the one to lead AEW into the promised land, right? And all that BS. But yeah, so that's why I give him a B, just because he's not the main focal point in AEW right now. He's not in the title picture right now. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I like the journey that we're on with him right now, and I think 2025 he'll potentially slide up into that A spot. But yeah, I think probably even like a B plus for real. But yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at right now with Ospreay. But again, obviously the sky's the limit with that dude. He's incredible, and just the stuff that he does in any opponent, right? His match with Darby Allin, his match with obviously Ricochet, right? But he could just, it's just the dynamic and like the diversity of opponents that he can go through and still have a kick-ass match is just incredible to me. So shout out to that dude. And again, it's a real treat that he's in AEW. I still hope we get him in WWE in the future, because I would love to see what the minds over in WWE could do with him and him being in that spotlight, and just seeing how, as cliche as this is, right? But how much of a superstar he can really be, in the sense that, not in the WWE sense, but just like transcending wrestling. Because I really think that, man, like, is he going to be like a movie star? Maybe not anything like that, but in like video games and stuff like that, like maybe like action, like I could see this dude as like a act, maybe like maybe in movies, like a superhero and like an action hero type thing. Like I just, if they make an Assassin's Creed movie, obviously, or anything of that type of vibe, and maybe they already have. I don't know. I'm not I'm not as into like superhero movies as I used to be, but and all that, like DC and all that stuff. But man, like that dude, it just has like a comic book superhero like script and role like all over him, written all over him. So I'm putting that into the universe for my guy Will. Putting that into the universe of him for sure. Because if not, then like I don't know what we're doing, because he's pretty much like a stuntman. You know what I mean? Like, and so shout out to him. Christmas cookies? No, I did not eat any Christmas cookies. I did not. Sean, you said you'll give Ospreay an 8, so would that translate into like a B plus on my A to F? Um, yeah, no. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking. Oh, actually, Okada is going to be next, so hold off on Okada there. I would definitely be getting into that. But I'm gonna kind of keep going through here, and I'm gonna go back and kind of dive back into it just for time's sake. And again, because obviously I'm not gonna be done before 8. If you guys want me to kind of like rush through this, let me know. If you want to go jump off it and watch AEW Dynamite, obviously I'll be watching it a little bit later. But I just really wanted to kind of sit down and just kind of bullshit. So I appreciate you guys kind of being here with me and then kind of just yeah, just kind of going through the motions with me. But let me make sure. Okay, yeah. Before I get too distracted. So yeah, final answer for Ospreay is B plus. Now, Okada. Okada. And if you would have told me this time last year, AEW is going to bring Okada in, and I'm going to be torn on what letter grade to give him, and it's not between A or B, then I'd be like, okay, like damn, like I've become real judgmental and real judgy over the next 12 months. And in my opinion, I don't think I have been. And again, this one I struggled between a D and a F for Okada. I'm just gonna start with that. I'm just gonna put that out there. And again, I feel like this should be obvious, but I'm gonna say it just for full transparency, whatever. Are we talking about in ring work? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because this dude be A plus all day, right? So definitely not in ring ability, anything like that. This is a total package though. And this is if you're looking at something as a whole and you're putting a grade on it, in my opinion, you have to look at the total package, and that's the presentation. And yes, he's great in the ring. All these people are great in the ring, right? Different levels, of course, like Okada's Okada, right? Ospreay's Ospreay. But Okada came in with all this fanfare, all this hype, the big like free agent debate, right? Not even debate, but negotiation, right? And struggle for Okada was happening. And I, to be fair, like I don't think WWE, not maybe they could have, but I don't think they really made too much of an effort money wise. Probably they probably got to a certain point and they're like, all right, yeah, like especially if like AEW, excuse me, ended up offering or giving him like, what was it, like 3-4 mil 5 mil a year. I definitely don't see and don't blame WWE for not wanting to fork that out right off the bat. I could see them, maybe a mil 2 year a year, or a mil 2 mil a year rather. Chump change, right? Just to come in and see, probably a mil 5 maybe. And again, who the fuck knows? I have no idea. I'm just kind of spitballing here. But I could see that probably being what WWE offered, maybe 2 mil. And then AEW obviously probably doubling that, because it's Okada, right? And if you're Tony Khan, you gotta have Okada. But I was one of those people, and it's between Okada and Omega. Now, obviously, we're not going to be talking about Omega, but these two guys in particular, when Omega's contract and both of their contracts are coming up for that matter, obviously different companies at the time, I was really hoping that they would go to WWE. As crazy as it sounds, and again, not to be like, oh, like let's stick it to AEW, like fuck AEW. No, like it, not at all. But in the sense that I was really looking for and hoping rather, and possibly looking forward to the story and the character development that we would be getting from especially Kenny Omega, because when AEW started, I had seen like maybe like 2 matches of Omega, and like obviously I'd heard of him, but I was really excited to learn more about him and to see, all right, what is the cleaner? You know what I mean? Like, what does this do? Like, who is he? Like, why is he the best bout machine? Like, just what is this dude? Like, who is he? And we really didn't get that, in my opinion. And again, I'm not going to get too in depth on Omega right now, but that's kind of where I'm at with Okada right now, and that's why I'm giving him a D, and I'm being, I feel, generous because I wanted to give him enough, as terrible as that sounds. But for the reasons I was just saying there about Omega, but at least Omega was the champion at that point, right? Or he did become a champion. And again, we're still very early on. This is just grading their, not even their first full year, but just their indoctrination into AEW, right? And where they're at so far. And yes, has Okada had some good matches? Yeah, of course. And like I said earlier, him in the ring is not the question here. That's not singularly what we're grading. If that was the case, then of course that what would even be the point, right? Dude's amazing. But it's the presentation that really tanked it for me, and the lack of importance that has been displayed with him. The not even the fact that he turned heel. I at first I was like really caught off guard with that, and I was really surprised. But I was like, props to them, you know? Like at first I was like, I don't know, like because again, Okada's Okada, and he had that aura, right, that everyone wants to talk about. And he came in with, man, just that, okay, like let's fucking go. Like Okada's here, we're getting Ospreay, like this, like it's about to like really hit. And they turned him heel and aligned him with the elite. And it's like, okay, like I don't even know if I would have done it so soon. Maybe I would have drawn it out as much as I could for the babyface side. But again, I can kind of be on board with that and entertain that. And again, who better to align him with than someone that he's, or someone, or people, right? Someone's that he's super familiar with and comfortable with, being the elite. Obviously, their relationship in Japan, all that good stuff. So it's kind of like a no-brainer in that sense. So I was like, okay, but, and of course, the Young Bucks being the EVPs, you would imagine that they became the tag team champions. You would imagine we're like, okay, they're going to get ample TV time, really going to grow. We're really going to get a foundation. We're going to get like possibly like a long-term story. Not expecting anything like the bloodline or anything drawn out for years, but just something, right? And no, dude comes in, he wins the Continental Championship, and he says bitch every week that he's on TV. And that's pretty much what we've gotten. And I'm just at a loss, really. I'm just really at a loss for why that's okay. And I'm I almost want to say why he would be okay with that, but I mean shit, if you're getting millions of dollars to just go on TV and say bitch for a minute, then shit. You get to like save your body, like take less bombs, prolong your career in that regard, then hell yeah. So in that sense, don't blame him one bit. If I'm Tony Khan though, maybe this should be like creating how Tony Khan has handled it, but that's, I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit too judge, like more judgy or whatever. But whatever the correct terminology would be there. But I just, if I'm Tony Khan and I gave this dude millions, because it's at least two. So if I gave him millions of dollars and he's Okada, and I'm expecting something out of him, like my bar would be very high for him. And again, not saying I expect him to be on TV weekly wrestling, anything like that, but I expected some type of story. Like what have we really built to with Okada? It just because Omega's out, like we can't do anything with Okada in the meantime? Like that's ludicrous to me. The fact that him and Takesha haven't really interacted is ludicrous to me. And Takesha's another story, but again, we're not going to get into that. It's just for the new hires of this year. But yeah, I'm just really at a loss for what we've done with Okada. Um, and I feel like the whole, oh well, Omega's been out, so like it's a bit like this person has been on the back burner. I feel like that can be said for a lot of different people, and that's why I just feel like it's a BS. Yes, like that's probably 100% accurate, and that's fine. Like that's totally fine. But you don't have other people on the roster, okay, so what were you gonna do with Okada after he had his program with Omega then? So like I don't know. It's just very odd to me, just very odd. So that's why I'm giving Okada a D. And again, not wrestling capability, anything like that. So don't freak out. But his presentation, yes, he's a champion, and he's a champion, so that's why I didn't give him an F. To be honest with you, even though they have 15 titles there, I, I, the matches that he has given us in that presentation, it's been on point, and we are in the Continental Tournament right now, so I'm holding out hope for that. So that's why I'm not saying it's a complete failure, but damn, damn, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, Okada joined for a payday. So you're great. And cheap prosecco. Great job, bro. Great job. uh, uh, uh. Johnny say Shit McMahon going to straight out Will in AEW for bad mouthing as going to straighten out Will Ospreay. That'd be hilarious, bro. Really taking over. I mean, it's not your company anymore. And I would have died on that hill, but I was one of those people, man. I was really thinking we're gonna get Shane McMahon. We'll still see. We'll see if he comes in at World's End. I highly doubt it. But I was on that bandwagon. I was thinking we were gonna get him. Yeah, Texas Deathmatch Will versus Shane. I said his first match it's gonna be Shane versus Darby Allin. I still have money on that. I will still put money on that for sure. For sure. And yeah, Nick, that's my problem too with the whole like saving AEW thing is who is considered the face of AEW right now, and that's a bigger story or a bigger issue that we have really, which plays into the Moxley storyline and things like that, and why it can't really be Hangman, right, because of all the shit that he's done this past year. So speaking of Hangman, if you guys see the I don't forget what the title was, but AEW they had Hangman burning the visual of Hangman burning Swerve's house and Hangman sitting in the rocking chair drinking his beer, whatever it was. Well, not his beer. I think it was like a liquor or something. But just like sipping his drink, just like on repeat. It was like one of those, those channels where it's like you can stream. It's like for just like wood burning, like if to help you sleep or kind of like a mood setting or like rainfalls, like those like sounds, like those type of channel. It was essentially like that, but it was just like the wood burning of the house and Hangman sitting there. I was like, yo, like fuck Swerve, right? Jesus. So maybe it is Hangman because I mean, damn, if AEW's YouTube page is any indication, they are Team Hangman for sure. For sure. Bryce, you said don't rush. Okay, and Sean, you said yeah, you're recording. Word. I appreciate you guys. Oh, you said Bryce, you said Okada B. Man, you're much more generous than I am, and you're probably over there like, what the fuck? She gave him a D. Yeah. All right, but hey, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you like the whole like him saying bitch thing, again, it was I guess comical a couple times, but like it just like okay, what else? Um, yeah, SW said he's been downgraded to an R-Truth / Tozawa type character who just says bitch. Yeah, and that's yeah. It's almost like it almost pains me to even say that, but yeah, a comedy act and a comedy relief segment, and it's like the fuck we doing, man? Like this is Okada, like, and again, I'm not. This isn't even coming from someone who's like been a diehard Okada fan or like like waves the New Japan flag or anything like that. But like, can we put some respect on this dude? Like, come on, like it's just like kind of bonkers to me. All right, John, have a good night, man. I appreciate you popping in. What's up, Eric? What up? What up? Thank you for joining. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. And Nick, you said it's crazy that you go through all that trouble signing him only to have him stand behind the Bucks and swear. Again, talking about Okada. Exactly. Exactly. But yes, so again, I don't want to keep you guys too long here, but I definitely want to keep going through the chat. Yeah, so rewind, you said so it sounds like you don't like the way they booked Okada, so the D grade is more on how they booked him more than anything. Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%. And again, if this was Okada in a different light, and again, not saying like any of these people that I'm saying, like the only way they could have gotten an A is if they were main event, title picture, like the main focal point each week. No, but like take their character seriously for the level that they're at. And you're paying these people, and again, it's not my money, so do whatever you want, spend whatever you want. I don't really care. But it's just like you would think that the money you're putting into something, you want to get a return out of it. So that's where I'm just like, why would you want to make a laughing stock out of something you've invested millions of dollars into? Like that's just what's kind of confusing to me with Okada. What up, Ron? What up? What up? Merry Christmas to you, man. Yes, thank you for joining. I'm happy you were able to as well. Again, another random stream, man, but I appreciate you popping in for sure. Sim, you're still here, man. You haven't passed out yet. You said basically Okada's bitch gimmick is like having Michael Jordan and using him to fire the t-shirt gun. Yeah, bro. Yeah, very good synopsis. Very good synopsis. And how sad too, you know, like how sad. How sad. Da, da, da. What is up, Danielle? Danielle Bellini. I hope I pronounced that right. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate that. Cool avatar. You picture you ride motorcycles or something, or like right on. I think that's and I know it's definitely a motorcycle helmet. I think I see one in the background, but right on. I appreciate you popping in. Appreciate that. Yeah, Tony can do, and again, Johnny, you're absolutely right, and that's what again makes me frustrated. Trying to stay focused here tonight because you guys know how I am on my tangents, but yeah, Tony, he made it obvious that he can do long-term storytelling with the first year and a half ish, 2 years into AEW, with the first 4 champions that he had planned out. And again, I don't know if it was just once he got through a certain point of shit that he had planned out, it just got to be so much going on at once. It was kind of like the snowball effect in a good way, right? The company just grew and grew and grew. He had all these stars growing, and it just got to be one of those situations where it was just like, oh my god, like it's kind of like you have all these fires burning in a good way, and you don't necessarily want to put them out, but you don't know which one to maintain, right? And then it gets to a point where it just like engulfs everything, and then it burns out, you know, and or it causes destruction or whatever, depending on the fire, the wrestler that you're talking about, right? So he definitely can, and that's what's frustrating to me as a whole with everything. And again, like I don't expect him to for every wrestler he has on his roster to be 100% with, because like you need help, right? And like he needs to delegate more, in my opinion, like just kind of again being an outsider making judgments. I feel like he's just overwhelmed with, of course, all the shit that he has going on even outside of wrestling, but even just looking at wrestling as a whole, like I can't imagine the stress that goes into the day-to-day life of like a Tony Khan or like a Triple H, you know, and dealing with all those personalities and things. But you look at a Triple H and he's the buck stops with him type guy, you know, type situation and position. Same thing with Tony Khan. But Triple H has help. Triple H has a team. And Tony Khan said what he has like 24 writers or some shit. So obviously he has a team, but it's like, are they allowed to do stuff? And that's where I think the disconnect could be. So that's why I wish we could get a little bit more information on. Not that I need to know like how the sausage is made and all that bullshit, because a lot of this stuff isn't any of our business. You know what I mean? But I just think it would be fascinating. It would help us as fans, you know, like just understand it a little bit better. And again, that's probably too insider, you know, and we don't need to know that. But I would just like to know it, just selfishly. um, yeah, and we will definitely be talking about Kamille. She is on my list for sure. And Danielle, you said, are you doing TNA wrestling stream tomorrow evening? I was not, but I do. Because what's tomorrow? No, I will not be. I do have to have stuff I have to do tomorrow evening, but I do want to be doing more TNA streams. So if you guys watch TNA and you guys like would be down for that, let me know. Because I have been watching. I've added them to my DVR list, and I have been watching them more. When their show airs, I'm at work, so I can't do it immediately after. I have a full time and a part time, but I do want to do more because they have been getting, I don't want to say a lot better because they, you know, hits and misses, right? But I don't think they get their fair share and their fair credit and their fair exposure. So I've been thinking about it for sure though, for sure. But yes, Merry Christmas to you, Danielle. Merry Christmas, and thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. But yes, guys, next up on the list, and I'm gonna mark these out really quick. I did 1, 2. All right. like I was saying earlier, this is an example of people who come in with a good amount of buzz, right? And you're excited for it, and then they just vanish. And to remind you people of this individual, Deonna Purrazzo, she came in, I don't want to say with a lot of fanfare, but in my opinion, with a good amount of hype. And I personally was very excited for her to come in. I This was like I was saying with Okada and Omega earlier, how I wish they would have gone to WWE. I, on the flip side with this one, was very happy that Deonna went to AEW. I was thinking she is going to be a phenomenal asset to their women's division. She's just going to stack it, get that depth in there, and just really help it grow. Kind of be like a Ruby Soho placement in WWE, where Ruby Soho was kind of like a utility player. And like maybe a Natalia for a more recent reference. Not necessarily, obviously Natalia has more years under her belt than Deonna does, but in the sense that Deonna is kind of like a ring general at this point, in my opinion, right? And obviously has more experience than a lot of the women wrestlers do on AEW, and just for the sense that she's been doing it longer, right? Like no diss to the other, like your Sky Blues and stuff like that. Like they just reps under your belt. Like you know, you can only get experience over time, right? And you can only get that experience over time by establishing time, right? And putting the time in. So don't knock on anyone like that. But I was very hopeful. I was very hopeful. I thought that she was going to come in and not necessarily become the champ immediately, but and dethrone Tony Storm at the time. But I thought that she would maybe come in and have a little bit more impact, no pun intended, than she did. Um, but no, she came in. She had a good story and a good match with Tony Storm, in my opinion. But then she just fell off, and again, not her in ring wise, right? But character wise, just disappeared. Just was one of those that she, I think, went to a Rampage for a while. And again, full disclosure, I was not watching Rampage weekly. Their last show is coming up actually this Friday, RIP. But it's, again, I'm not gonna beat the dead literally the dead horse at this point. But if you don't show me a recap of what happened on Rampage, if you don't make me feel like an asshole for missing out on Rampage, then I'm not gonna make it a point to invest even more time. Because if we sat here and added up all the hours of wrestling that is on TV and shit that we technically should be keeping up on, if you know, if we're just watching the shows, period, like it's insane. It's like an absurd amount of time and an insane amount of time. I almost combined absurd and insane there. Absane or whatever I was gonna call it. But it's just bonkers, right? And this is coming from someone who has been like obsessed with wrestling since I was a child, and even I have to draw the line. I have to have a life. I have to have a disconnect. You know what I mean? To miss it, you make me miss it. You make me want to miss it. You know what I mean? So I'm at the point now where I'm missing Deonna Purrazzo, and I was like, damn, where'd she go? And then obviously, so because I was missing her and I didn't even realize she was wrestling on Rampage, which may be my fault, and I will take that blame if that's what it is. But now she's supposed to be teaming up with Taya Valkyrie, and then they're trying to get that tag team going. So okay, but I okay, but like I'm not advocating for women's tag team titles, so cool, you know, like maybe get a little stable, I guess, or something going on there, or it's cool just to have a friend, I guess. But yeah, so at the end, I'm giving her an F, and I hate to say that she is the first F on the board. And again, it pains me to say that because I was very hopeful for Deonna coming in, but they have just tanked it with her. And I don't think, not even though I gave her an F, for the presentation and just the lack of consistency with her, in my opinion, I don't think she's dead and buried, right? I think if even like starting in next year, right? If you were to bring her back up like she went down to NXT or something. But if you were to bring her back up and make her even just have her, because she's amazing on the mic too, and like her presence just, and that's why it's frustrating for me, and that's why it pains me to give her an F. Um, but I just like, if you just give this woman a shot and just give her time, like damn, like she could really add substance to your product. So shame on the booking team uh for making me give Deonna an F. I'm blaming you guys. Um ugh. But yes, guys. And to be honest, like I almost forgot that they even brought her in this year. When I was going through the roster, I was like, oh shit, that was this year. It's just crazy to me. Mercedes has not been graded yet. Mercedes has not been graded. We will be coming up on Mercedes in a moment here. We have not been we have not graded Mercedes. So a recap so far, because again I ramble. We started off with Ospreay. Ospreay has a B. Okada has a D, and Deonna Purrazzo has a F. So coming out strong, right? In Rewind 89, no, I am not. I am not left-handed. I am not left-handed. I am supposed to be doing like I I have my own issues, right? I'm a fidgeter, right? And I'm supposed to be doing like PT for my hand too. I was in a car accident like over a month ago now. But I'm supposed to be doing like these exercises with my hand. So between that and just me being a fidgeter, because my right hand is with the mouse, yeah. But no, I wish, because lefties are much smarter than us righties too. And I wish I could be one of the only 8% of the women in the world who are left-handed. I wish, but I'm not cool like that. I'm just basic Ashley Spelling, basic right-handed girl over here, for sure. Yeah, Brycer. Just I don't understand why you bring something and you just waste them. I agree with you there. What's up, Anthony? What up? What up? Merry Christmas, my friend. Merry Christmas. Oh, Ron, I appreciate that, man. No, there is not a way to send super chats here. I am not monetized because I am just a small little channel here starting out. I am not monetized yet. I do go live over on Brass Ring Media, like I was saying earlier, every Saturday mornings, and they are monetized because they're cool, right? But no, I've not hit the required thresholds yet. I think it's like you have to have like 500 subscribers and like a certain amount of watch hours or something. And like if you guys have just found me recently, like I wasn't really taking like any of this seriously. I just kind of like, I don't know, it was just like weird for me to even like be in front of the like be like live and like let alone live, but just like as I hit the mic. But just record myself like visually, like on video. It was just very strange to me. I'm like one of those like weird, like introverted people who like don't like taking pictures and stuff like that. It's just kind of awkward for me. But I'm trying to break out of all that. So I'm just kind of like like really like branching out and like really putting more like guess more effort into it. I should be more consistent and I should put more effort into it, but I'm just kind of not winging it, but I'm just kind of learning as I go. But yeah, man, just you being here, dude, to be honest with you, and just like subscribing or like liking the little channel or in the video or whatever. Because that does help. I have learned that does help the algorithms and like the outreach of the show, subscribing and liking. So yeah, until if and when I do get monetized, that's very nice of you. I appreciate that. But just being here and chatting with me is pretty cool as well. So I appreciate that. Um but yeah, no, we'll be getting to Mercedes here in a moment, for sure. The tangent lady Ash. it's a problem, dude. It's a fucking problem. It's I'm one of those people, and I can admit it. I'm one of those people that it's like if you could tell a story in a minute, I probably take 5 minutes to tell it because I feel like you have to know like the backstory, you have to know how we got there, and then you have to tell you the story itself, and you have to tell you what happened after it. It's a real problem, and trust me, I know myself. So you can say that I know myself. Like sometimes I'll be talking, I'll be like, God, like I'll be thinking in my head, just like shut the fuck up, like like telling myself to shut up. It's a problem. Lucifer C Japan, what up, man? What up? Merry Christmas to you, man. You say might not be on this live stream long, but I at least wanted to wish you a happy holidays. Sounds like you're feeling better from that cold. That's good. I dig the hoodie, by the way. I am, man. I am. I am. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you popping in, man. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it's I'll kind of lower it a bit so you can see. It's the Bray Wyatt Let Me In hoodie. R.I.P. to one of the goats, man. Good old Bray Wyatt. I fucking love this hoodie, and I'm so happy I bought it when it went on sale way back when. Because I'm kind of like a cheapskate too. And like normally hoodies are expensive, but I was just like, man, I gotta get it, and I'm very happy I did. Yeah, Brycer 20 for writers fucking wear, yeah. LOL. But yeah, so I'm gonna move on. Number 4, guys. Number 4 is Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith, the bounty hunter. not much to say about him, to be honest with you. Not a lot to say. And to be fair, when he was officially signed, I did not have much hope for him. I was like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. It's just another one of those signings. We'll see what happens. He did get more rub than I expected, though. Of course, being aligned with Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree and Big Bill, which is fucking dumb name, obviously gave him more TV time. And he has had moments where it was kind of comical, like I chuckled a few times here and there. But I mean, he other than being with the Learning Tree, and it's kind of weird to say because like if he wasn't with the Learning Tree, like he'd probably be on TV even less. So it's just like when I was thinking about him, it's just kind of awkward grading him because like he hasn't done much, and that's kind of not fair to say because he's done what he's needed to do in his designated role, right? So in one frame, it's like, well, what do you really expect out of the position that he's been slotted in? So I was like, I'm definitely not giving him an F because it's not fair to give him an F. And then I was like D, like I was like maybe a D. So honestly, I was in between like a C minus and a D, just solely because if you were to ask me when he was first brought in what I expected of him, again, not much. I didn't even expect for him to be on TV as much as he was. I really thought he would have probably ended up in Ring of Honor and just been like maybe like going back and forth for like the Pure Championship and things like that. So with that being said, I do have to give the 24 writers or and etc credit for at least giving him TV time. Now again, there's a case to be made for why is he getting TV time as opposed to other people, but whatever, that's a whole other discussion. But just solely grading him, I landed at a C minus, and again, that could be being a little bit more gracious than maybe I should be, or a little bit harder than maybe I should be, but I thought that was obviously average, right? But a C minus because he's still just kind of been there, you know what I mean? And he hasn't really added too much, but he hasn't taken away either. But again, he has added a little bit, in my opinion. And he is kind of, kind of funny sometimes. And I'm just happy for him. He has got more TV time than I would have anticipated. So I gave him a C minus. But let me know what you guys think on that one, because ironically enough, like that one was kind of like not hard to grade, but it was just like, it's, again, like I said, kind of like interesting grading him. Yeah, Mercedes. You guys are talking about Mercedes. She's not going to be next, but she's after this next individual that we will be talking about. Yeah, so yeah, it is the 500 subs, yeah, to get monetized. Yeah, and I think I'm at, like, honestly though, like I've grown a lot, and I'm really happy with like where I'm at right now. Like, and it's really crazy to me, just like that I have you guys even just here right now. It's just kind of funny to me. Not funny, but just like I really like just always expect to come on here and just talking to the void. And I always like I started just podcasting in general just so I had kind of like for selfish reasons, to be honest with you guys, just because I really like talking about wrestling and kind of just like an audio diary for myself, just to go back and like, man, remember like back in 2019, like da 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 or whatever, and just like seeing how much things have changed. And then it just kind of like grew into this once I got a little bit more comfortable with it and just kind of learned a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. But next up, we have Queen Aminata, and this individual might be a little bit surprising grade-wise to you guys, but I'm just going to come right out and say it. I gave her a B, and that one may be a little bit higher than you would have thought. And again, I maybe a little, not a hypocrite, but maybe a little bit. She hasn't been on TV as consistently as like a Will Ospreay, even, for instance. But she has been on TV more so than like your Okadas, even, really. And of course, like your Deonna Purrazzo. So automatically, she's hovering around like a C, right? A D or C at that point. But for me, the presentation, honestly, for her when she has been brought out, to me, and I could be wrong, or just my opinion. You could have a different opinion, right? But in my opinion, like when she's been brought out, she's been presented as a star, and not even someone who's overstepping their boundaries where they're currently at. Like, that person like a Max Caster, that says, "Oh, I'm the greatest wrestler, I'm the best wrestler alive," and clearly he's not, right? she's not coming out there like, yes, even though her name is Queen Aminata, right? But she's not giving and putting off that vibe that like she's like quote unquote better than everyone, right? She's just going out there and just kind of like being like believing in herself and like a healthy amount of ego, in my opinion. And the presentation and the development for where she's kind of progressed, in my opinion, because I do remember seeing her back in AEW Dark when she was over at the Universal Studios. She was there doing some tapings there, and just seeing the trans. And again, this may be just because I've seen her a little bit more, but just kind of seeing where she was at there and where she's kind of been positioned in the matches that she's had. I think I've just really been impressed, and I think again isn't she isn't in like the title contingency or anything like that, but I think she is someone to kind of keep an eye on going forward. And I think that if we didn't have so many people waiting in the wing, as weird as it sounds, because I do think that you have like your Athenas, not Chris Statlander, even though she's gonna be facing Mercedes again at World's End, but I really think that you have like is as much as it may not seem that way, I think Tony Khan does have an idea within the next year of where he wants the women's division to go and who he wants to kind of like be tailoring it and be the champions. And I think Athena is going to be in that vision. It's way overdue. But I think her and Queen Aminata, I think I'm very hopeful for them. And maybe it's just again me being a little bit generous, but I just kind of have to be at this point, right? So I'm giving her a B, and maybe that's a little bit higher. Maybe it should have been like a C plus, which I wouldn't even really be mad about. But again, I just as a whole with her, and she was on TV much more than I expected as well. So I think if she wasn't presented as much as she was, I would have given her like a C plus. But especially there for like a 2-3 month period, I feel like she was on there more consistently than I would have anticipated. So that's why I ended up giving her a B. But next up, guys, the one it seems like you all have been waiting for. Sean, you gave Bryan Keith an F, okay, and Bryce there a D minus, okay. Ricochet, yeah. D is fine, yeah. D is fine. Oh, you guys are funny. She does lose all the time, Sean. She does lose all the time. But again, like I'm not expecting someone like in her position to come in and not that she's like a jobber or like I don't know. I don't know. Like to me, it's yes, she like maybe she should have won a few more times than to get that B grade, but the matches that she's been in, you kind of would have expected her to lose, and that's again just kind of like getting back towards like the creative side of it and the booking side of it, but I was just really impressed for whatever reason, just really impressed. Um, bum, bum, bum. I appreciate you, Rewind 89. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bryster. Y'all are nice, man. Y'all are great. I appreciate that, man. Sean, I appreciate all you guys. Mercedes Mone. Looks like someone is a Jim Cornette fan, huh? SW. But yes, apparently the moment you guys have been waiting for. Mercedes Monet. Mercedes Mone. Mercedes Monet. Guys, should I start with the grade or kind of draw it out? I'm gonna draw it out. So, of course, starting from the jump, her coming in, big business, right? It had the whole show was built around her. Big business in Boston. I forget the name of the arena, but they went to the big arena, had a fantastic show out. It was in March on my birthday. Pretty sure March 13th it was. It was a great vibe, great excitement going into it. The speculation we had all had been really going back and forth on. We were all pretty certain it was going to be AEW, right? But there was a little bit of thought maybe potentially she could dip her toes into TNA-ish for a little bit there. And since Trinity, Naomi, was in TNA there for a hot minute. Nothing long term, like not even saying a year plus in TNA or anything like that. But having kind of like what she was doing with New Japan, kind of jumping in a little bit, getting her feet wet, just kind of not going through the motions in that negative route, but just going through the motions in the sense of getting her reps in, mingling with talent she never would have had the opportunity and mingling with, and just really going out there and just not like making a checklist, right? And just like knocking off different accomplishments, different companies, all that good stuff, right? She gets injured, sucks, breaks her, I think breaks her ankle, something like that. Really bad injury. Not as bad as Adam Cole's, but took her out for a while. That's with the whole Willow Nightingale. That's how she ended up, or the story that she ended up going right into when she got into AEW. We'll get to here in a second. But there was a little bit of speculation, obviously, as well, that she could possibly go back with WWE in the sense that Vince McMahon is no longer there, right? Not going to get into the whole story, but what pushed her and Naomi out when they were the women's tag team champions in WWE. Pretty sure it was maybe Ronda Rousey. Vince and the team wanted Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone, to lose a singles match against Ronda Rousey, I believe it was. I think it was like a qualifier match or something to that effect. Possibly going into the Elimination Chamber. I don't remember all these specifics, but I'm pretty certain that's what it was. And again, it's a singles match. You're the tag team champion. I kind of get both sides, right? But again, it wasn't just some Joe Schmo. It would have, and I even think they had like it wasn't just going to be like a one-off loss or like a fluke loss. I think there's even going to be like a story built around it, something to that effect. Mercedes Sasha was not having it. It was, my opinion, it was probably an accumulation of things up until that point. She was just like, lack of other words, she was probably just like, fuck this, like I don't need this shit. Like I'm out. Like no, like you're not taking me seriously. Like I'm done like losing to these people. Da da da. Like no, like I'm Sasha Banks. I'm Mercedes. Like whatever. Like I know my worth. Da da da. Again, I'm just spitballing here. Probably didn't say any of that. That's just my dialogue. Vince probably like screw you, man. Whatever. I don't need you. Adios. Again, definitely not his dialogue, right? Dude probably doesn't even know what adios means. But my dog's having a dream in the background in case you hear any noises or any growling in the back. Yeah, so they dropped the titles, not in a match, but they're out. They being Mercedes, Sasha Banks, Trinity / Naomi. They're out. They're all doing their own thing. Trinity ends up in TNA. She's doing her own thing. Sasha Banks is traveling all over the world, doing her thing, enjoying her freedom. Cool. Happy for you. Great money. Money. Get your back. All that good stuff. Gets injured. Bummer. Wrestling against Willow Nightingale. That's big bummer. You know what I mean? It sucks. We do end up seeing her sitting in the audience at All In, which was interesting because we saw her sitting there in the audience, and then she just no mention of her after that, which just, again, bonkers with AEW. But yeah, nothing after that. Fast forward to the rumors, right? Where it was kind of like a CM Punk thing at that point. You're pretty much giving it away without directly saying it, right? Big business, like I think on the graphic that they had, it was like boss with like 2 S's and like a dollar sign or something like that for like spelling out Boston, all that cliche stuff, right? Debuts, big deal. Obviously, it gets crazy reaction in her hometown. Gonna get a babyface reaction. Cool, good money, great money, big business. Off running, right? Like hit the ground running type situation. Next week, it's kind of weird. Kind of a weird promo. You don't really know how to really take it. It's kind of feeling forced in a way. And again, to be fair, like Sasha Banks was never known as like the strongest on the mic, but we all thought it was like one of the situations where WWE is hindering them. WWE has a crutch, they're handcuffing them, right? Like you can only say but so you have a script, right? You can only say but so much. You don't have bullet points. You can't go out there and just speak your mind, speak from your heart type thing. She definitely did on that first night, I would say. But as the weeks went on, it just got a little bit more worse and just kind of more cringe, in my opinion. In the sense that you didn't know how to take her. So especially with the themes and like the vibe, right? So she comes in, Mercedes Moné, the CEO, but she's supposed to be a good guy. But who likes the CEO? Like what CEO is a good guy, right? So okay, but that's what we're supposed to be chanting. Like it's piped in CEO. Okay, whatever. As it goes on, it just kind of gets more and more convoluted in the sense that it's one of those things where it's like you see one thing but you hear something else, and it's kind of like a mind fuck. It's like you're trying to be a good guy, but you're not really being a good guy, you know? And is that what we're supposed to be thinking? Like, is that the story? Is that the point? Maybe it is. Okay. So you go along with it. The whole, in my opinion, the issue of it was right from the jump, starting off with Willow Nightingale, like trying to blame Willow for purposely injuring her. But then, like, she didn't want to necessarily say it. Like, she didn't want, like, she being Mercedes, like, Mercedes didn't want to necessarily, like, call out Willow at first, but then she did. But it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, so you're assuming that us being diehard wrestling fans, AEW fans, we either saw the match between her and Willow Nightingale, or we knew of what the match and what happened, right? Like she got injured with Willow, but it was like a fluke accident, right? It's not like Willow did anything deliberately or anything crazy like that. But that's what was being presented to us in AEW, and that's just not Willow, you know? And then for a split second there, they wanted us to like tease the fact that, or the possibility that Willow was going to be a bad guy. And I just think absolutely not. Willow, you literally want to give Willow a hug. Like, like it sucks that Bailey's gimmick was like the hugger, because if anyone could have like taken that hugger gimmick and ran with it as well, Willow would have been that person. But I love I could go on and on about my love for Willow, but I'm not going to right here, right now. But Willow is that type where you just look at her, in my opinion, and you love her automatically, right? Like the smile, like she loves wrestling, right? But to me, it's not cringe. I thought like she doesn't like she knows that boundary, right? Like she knows that fine line. But it's just not. It's you don't. The last thing you get from Willow is a vibe that like she does anything deliberately to hurt her opponent, right? Now again, when she had the street fight with Chris Statlander, that was a bit different situation. But like deliberately to like hurt your opponent, but they had that match. Like she respected Mercedes, so made no sense, right? And in my opinion, that's where the downfall for Mercedes truly started, because we didn't know how to really feel for her from jump. And it just kept getting worse from there. She had the match with Willow, which was a good match. Don't get me wrong, it was a good match. But then the shit with her and Dr. Britt Baker, which again, if you haven't listened to me in the past, I was a big fan of Dr. Britt Baker. Again, she's not a ring general, right? But she really like carried the women's division, in my opinion, for AEW, especially in the early years when they needed a face. She was the face, you know, like if you love her or hate her, she was the face. Not to mention she's obviously a fucking dentist, right? So like just the respect that I have for her, next level. So I expected, first of all, I didn't expect for them, rather taking a step back, I didn't expect for them to go to the match between Mercedes and Dr. Britt Baker as quickly as they did, which I think that was the first mistake, but fine. I get it. It's a big show. You want a big match, and that's the biggest match that they have. So okay, fine. Wherever you want to put the blame. And I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't care what happened behind the scenes, backstage. I don't care if Britt hates everyone. Everyone hates Britt. Everyone loves Mercedes. Everyone hates Mercedes. I really don't give a shit. I really don't care. What I care about is what's presented on TV. Whatever happened backstage, Britt apparently ended up getting fired, suspended for 2 weeks with some shit that happened potentially between her and MJF and MJF's girlfriend. I think the girlfriend's name is Alicia. His girlfriend's name is Alicia. I think that's her. Whatever. Doesn't, again, I don't really care. Doesn't matter. That obviously put a damper in threw a wrench into things, right? The build just wasn't there, and it just really felt forced. The match was terrible, my opinion. Just not a good match. You could tell like the chemistry wasn't. No, there were some good moments in the match. Don't get me wrong, but just the flow of it just was not there. And it's just kind of left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, in my opinion, again, in the majority of fans' mouth, for Mercedes Moné going forward, because you start off with a convoluted story, then you transition into a story that's not really that beneficial, and you no substance to it really, and it's just like kind of forced, really. Because then even too, it was like, okay, like Britt now, like Britt is our girl again, like okay, just a weird thing. And then we get Kamille, which we'll be definitely talking about Kamille up next. But then we get the introduction of Kamille, and again, starting off with Kamille, I thought it was fucking fantastic idea. It's a Shawn and Diesel type of situation, right? Kamille is coming in, she's going to be the heavy. If you knew of her of NWA, you already know her story. Just kind of piggyback off of that and go from there. And if you don't, okay, you can still piggyback off of the story from the NWA and go from there. She was Nick Aldis's his power, right? And his heavy. She ended up winning the championship, but she was a free agent. She had the opportunity to go to NXT, and she chose to go to AEW, which at the time she probably thought was a solid idea. Would love to know where her thoughts are now. She came in not hot, but I was excited for her. I was like, oh, this is great. Awesome. Good job. No, it was not good at all. Again, almost like within the first 2-3 weeks, there was dissension between her and Mercedes. Why? No idea. No idea. We learned Kamille can't drive a car. Like, it was just very, just like middle school writing, in my opinion. And it really, like, okay, so you had the first chapter, the introduction, right? Barely the introduction. The introduction in the sense of, okay, like, this woman's name is Kamille. She is partnered up with Mercedes now. Mercedes has hired her, essentially, to be the bodyguard. Okay, cool. Now, essentially, we should grow and go from there. But we didn't. We didn't get any more substance, really. All of a sudden, Mercedes is mad at Kamille. And the whole thing with Chris Statlander, who was a good guy forever, then she randomly turned on Willow, which we didn't really know why, and then she randomly turned back, which, okay, fine. Kamille and Mercedes went through one of those fake walls in the back, and which led to rather Mercedes and Chris Statlander having a very good match to give credit where credit is due. Now we are here. Now we are here with Kamille and Mercedes. Again, we fast forward to Dynamite. Was it about a month ago now? Maybe around a month ago. Mercedes is on the stage with Tony Schiavone. Kamille comes out. She's in a sling. And out of nowhere, oh, I almost forgot. One of the weeks prior, this just ludicrous to me. Mercedes sends Kamille into the ring, and I'm blanking on who the wrestlers were, the female talents were. But Kamille gets in the ring and pretty much just stands in the center of the ring and lets these two women just beat on her. Because Mercedes told her to. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Right now? Just blown away. But yeah, so they just made Kamille look like complete trash and like a complete goof. Speaking of goose, we'll get to one later on. And it's just everything, all the aura and all the badassery that you would have expected and that you maybe hoped and were going to get from Kamille and have established in Camille's position and her positioning with Mercedes, just completely just demolished between that week. And then Kamille came out and essentially was like, pretty much like, like, you can't fire me because I quit. The lamest shit. Like, it's like, no, like, you're like, oh, you think you're stealing her thunder, like Mercedes' thunder, because you quit? No, dude, like, you look like a complete chump. And I hate to say that because, again, another situation I had very high hopes for. Not high hopes, like, again, coming in and just running rampage, no pun intended, on the division. But coming in the sense of being Mercedes heavy, and I thought that they could really get like damn near a year out of it. And they blew through her within 3 months, and now we haven't seen Kamille since. Don't know if she's truly injured. Don't know. Just don't know. Don't know where Kamille is. Haven't heard from her since. So now that we went through the whole story of, kind of did a twofer there, of Mercedes Mone, and Kamille, I will give Mercedes Mone an F. And originally, guys, I put a D down for Mercedes Mone. But actually, as I sat here and talked it all out a little bit more, I downgraded that. I'll use that D for the downgrade. I changed that from a D to an F. And again, I feel like I'm being very hard and very critical. Again, match wise in ring, we have had some good showcasings, right? Her match with Willow Nightingale, the match with Chris Statlander, very good. The match with Britt Baker, not so great. The story and the character though is what's really killed it for me. And much like Okada, her and Okada are kind of like hand in hand with for me in the sense of comparisons in this regard and grade wise, because and I guess maybe not because I gave Okada a D and Mercedes maybe I should give Mercedes a D. But I'm giving her an F solely in this the difference between her and Okada is because she had the advantage being a essentially like a native to the North American market, right? Where she already knew essentially what she needed to do and it wasn't really an adaptation for her to the TV market. It was an adaptation just in the sense of going from WWE to AEW production. But that shouldn't affect your character. That shouldn't affect your promo. That shouldn't affect the ideas that you have, your presentation going forward. And yes, I think this is twofold. Honestly, I think yes, it's been creative and booking for Mercedes, but I think it's also maybe been some of her own input as well. And I think that maybe she was higher on some of the things that she had in mind than like the CEO gimmick, right? Then maybe she should have. And I get, like you're playing off with the boss gimmick. It's, you know, I get it. I get the correlation. It just didn't hit. And I'm hopeful for her in 2025, but to be honest with you guys, like I really I don't expect much change. Like even if like we have an epiphany and I honestly don't even know what that would look like though, and that's my struggle. Um I hate to be so down on it and just so down in the sense that maybe she, like the letter grade could have been a D and I'm being a little bit more harsh than I should have. But I think that with the hype that she had coming in, because I think she even had more hype than Okada coming in my opinion. And just the downfall. Really, it's gonna take a lot to rehabilitate her, in my opinion. So that's why I give her an F and I give Kamille an F as well. It just really this sounds really bad. But I give them both an F. Obviously, I just went over Y for Mercedes, but I give Kamille an F for the presentation. She had what 2 matches, I think. The presentation was just terrible. Again, you had so much potential with this woman bringing her in, being a badass, and just did nothing. And now she's been missing for maybe a month now, and I have a bad feeling we're not going to see her. And again, if she's injured, touche, and I get that. You need to tell us though. The last thing we saw was she quit. She literally quit on TV. So my assumption as a fan is like, okay, she quit AEW then. So she's just not coming back. But she was just brought in like 3 months ago. I shouldn't be sitting here thinking about all this stuff. Like contract wise, I should be like, yo, like I should be looking forward to what she's gonna do next and how much ass she's gonna kick up Mercedes when she comes back. And now I'm just like, is she gonna come back? Or is she gonna be like Samoa or not Samoa Joe? Is she gonna be like Miro? Who the hell knows? So they both get Fs. That's my long story short of it. All right. Going back a little bit. Yeah, guys, I guess I'm just fuck Dynamite, right? I didn't even mean to be here this long. And that's why I was gonna do like just record the video and not go live, but I was like, screw it, man. Maybe I'll have a couple people jump in. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, what's up, Anthony? If I didn't say hey to you earlier though, what up? What up? If you're still in here. Brycer, you agree with me? Kamille has been an F. And you said AEW needs to do a better job of making their stories mean something. Look at WWE; they are thriving. Yeah, dude. And I hate being the comparison person. You know what I mean? Because comparison is the thief of joy. But yeah, dude, you have to have a comparison because you have to know where to go and where to grow from. So yeah, yeah. And again, to be fair though, not all WWE storylines are hitting, right? Like for instance, like with American Made, like what are they doing with them? Like why is American Made like dealing with Otis again? Like no, like I don't know why they're the first ones that pop into my mind, but Chad Gable deserves more. But yeah. SW, say you're not being harsh. This is a study as to why the ratings are where they are. Thank you, SW. I appreciate that. Yeah, the match. Oh, that the match was Stab versus Sheeta when Kamille had the sling. Yes, thank you, Sean. Fucking awful, bro. Fucking awful. And I'm sorry, Sean. I know you are a saint, and I have a terrible mouth, but just terrible, terrible. Oh, the booking of the tag team titles, bro. I would give that shit an F. And the trios titles, F for just fucking throw them away. Just ridiculous, dude. Just ridiculous. Ugh. Rewind, you say, I think an F for Mercedes is fair, and I think most wrestling fans would agree with you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Oh, Nick, I gave Ospreay a B. Yes, Sean, you are great, bro. Sean, you taking notes over there, man? You have a great memory. Yeah, man, I gave Ospreay a B. So again, to recap, and my notes are looking crazy now because I changed a couple. But one was Ospreay with a B for boy. Number 2 was Okada coming in with a D for damn. Number 3 is Deonna Purrazzo with a F, the first F on the board. Number 4 was Bryan Keith with a C minus, and number 5 was Queen Aminata with a B. Number 6 we have Mercedes Mone with a good old F, and Kamille coming in the rear with an F as well. So that's where we are so far. We only have 3 more on the list, guys, and then we'll be wrapping up here. But thank you guys so much for joining me and staying in the chat. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, so to move along here, next up we have Ricochet. My goodness, guys, Ricochet. He has another one that I could go on a tangent on for another half hour, but I will try not to. And I will just boil it down to what we have seen this past week. Yes, again, just like everyone else, he came in with great fanfare, right? Great hype. But again, when he left WWE, I knew he was going to AEW just like everyone else did, right? No shocker there. I was more hopeful he was going to go to somewhere like a TNA or just straight to Japan, right? He just fits in with everyone in AEW, and that's cool, but like it's not great, you know? Like you just if you blend in, like what do you think is really going to happen? Like in WWE, you stood out way more because it's more diversity over there and different styles. AEW has way more high flyers in that sense, and way more people with similar movesets to Ricochet. But it's like, okay, bro, you know, whatever. I get it, and respect to you for taking a chance and betting on yourself still, and stepping away from guaranteed money, all that good stuff. And his wife, potential, you know, a future wife, it was still there at the time, so it's a big move, you know. But I mean, she ended up leaving not too much longer. She being Samantha Urban after that, but whatever, you know, like fine, you know. And again, people don't need to stay, and just because you're in WWE doesn't mean you need to be a lifer. So yeah, but the downfall with Ricochet came in, had the good match with Ospreay. Cool. I don't think they should have had the match so soon, but fine. The 3-way that him, Ospreay, and Takeshita had was fantastic. I thought that was a really good match. I mean, maybe fantastic's a little bit too strong, but I thought it was a really, really solid, a really good match for the time that they had. The match that he had with Takeshita, not as much. The energy just wasn't there. I don't know if it was a combination of like the fans, but it just wasn't hitting. And then this past week and a half, the combination of his presentation on Dynamite. Now, of course, he was presented a business card from MVP. When you're presented and given a business card, potentially you'll be joining the Hurt Syndicate. He was brought out to the ring, or he was out to the ring first with Tony Schiavone. He was about to say something. Out comes the Hurt Syndicate. MVP essentially asks him, "Hey," and Ricochet was looking great, had a nice suit on, looking the part, great. MVP asks him, "Hey, you saw that business card?" Ricochet's like, "Oh yeah, but I got it right here." Like, yeah, got it right here. You know, Bobby Lashley, I'm pretty sure is Lashley, grabs him up, takes the business card, rips it up. Just like manhandles Ricochet, misses up his tie. Ricochet is kind of not like completely shitting his pants, but just like kind of like frozen. And then kind of like Bobby Lashley releases him. MVP's pretty much, I think he said, what was the line he said? He was like, pretty much like they don't like kiss asses, essentially. Like, yeah. I don't either, bro. Fucking right there with you, man. Right there with you. I don't either. They tell him to get out of the ring, essentially, and then he leaves. He's like, Ricochet leaves, like, oh yeah, man, we'll talk later. We'll talk later type thing. Like, are you kidding me? All right, dude. Okay, maybe. And again, I try to be benefit of the doubt person over here. Maybe this is gonna play out long term, whatever. A respect thing, you know? No, no, no. It because then we get to the Hammerstein Ballroom, and again, this is shout out Callie in the back. This has nothing to, this was no control of AEW or anyone, but in the sense it is because of the presentation leading up to it. Fucking Hammerstein Ballroom throws toilet paper at Ricochet. Throws toilet paper in the ring at Ricochet. Toilet paper rolls. During his entrance right before his match with Will Ospreay on Collision. Ospreay dies. Just cannot contain himself. Dies laughing in the corner. Has to leave the ring. Just dies on the mats. When I went back and watched it, I'm dying there with him. I first saw like a little GIF on Twitter or something. I was like, this has to be Photoshop. This shit ain't real. This cannot be real. It was real. It was real. My guy got TP'd. The fucking disrespect was just running rampant for Ricochet at the ballroom. And I loved it. I loved it because it's playing into the heel turn, which we'll be getting from Ricochet. But it still doesn't change the perception of Ricochet that I have, being a fan. And the letter that I am giving him is a D. You guys may be surprised. Maybe you were thinking an F just with my latest track record here lately. But I will say a D because at least he is getting TV time, even though it has not been great. I do think they have a plan with Ricochet. I do think that this making him look like a chump with the Hurt Syndicate and this this conundrum that Ricochet is in is leading to a heel turn and is leading to him potentially being in the Hurt Syndicate. Now, to be fair, I wouldn't want to be in a group with a group of guys who fucking manhandled me, ripped up the business card, and called me a kiss ass in front of thousands of people. I'd be like, screw you, buddy. But I think we will be getting to something there. So I'm going to hold out on Ricochet. And I'm gonna give him a D though. I'm gonna give him a D. We'll see. We will see. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Again, thank you guys for popping in here. I appreciate it. But the next two, we'll kind of jumble these two guys in. These three, technically. The third guy isn't, I don't have him technically on the list, but he's obviously with them. And that's the Hurt Syndicate. It's Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. Shelton obviously has been there a hair just a tad longer than Bobby Lashley. Obviously, MVP was there first, but MVP isn't wrestling, at least as of right now. Kind of long story short with the Hurt Syndicate, I give them all A's. I give them all A's for the presentation, right, which is the key theme that we've been kind of discussing here tonight. Match quality, right? Shelton Benjamin has been killing it in the ring. He's been having like substantial matches. The matches that he's been having made sense, right? It makes sense. I love when he lost the match that they dealt with it backstage, they being MVP, and they really almost explained like what happens when you're in the Hurt Syndicate and you lose a match, right? Like what that means to the team and the perception of the team, and it solidified kind of like their motto, right? And what their mission statement is really. And I love the recruiting game. I don't know how I feel about them wanting to recruit Max Caster still. And I'm still iffy on the whole Ricochet thing, but I think there's going to be something that kind of plays out with that. And I also think that we'll be getting a revisiting of the whole feud with them and Swerve. I just think that look at Callie over there. I think that Swerve would be a great addition and kind of like a great leader almost in a sense. Now, I say that in this not obviously, but in the sense that as well that come here, girl. That the Hurt Syndicate, they really don't need a leader. And I love how they're all essentially equals and they all kind of play their own role. But man, I just think Swerve would just look like $1,000,000 just with him. And kind of like a face for the brand almost. So I give them all A's. Probably no surprise there. But yeah, and of course Bobby Lashley hasn't done too much, but they've made this guy look and feel like $1,000,000, you know, and really made him look like a star. And in some weeks, in my opinion, feel more important than Moxley and the Death Riders and whatever's going on with them. So that's why I give them all an A. And again, I could be a little bit generous there, or whatever, but I think I was thinking like a B plus, but I just, for all the reasons I just stated and the presentation more so than anything, I just think they're at the top. They're at the top of the new hires. So that is where I'm at, guys. Just making sure. Yeah, and it's crazy because the Hurt Syndicate are the only ones that got A's. So props to you guys. You get the first A's from the Kick-Ass Podcast, Hurt Syndicate. So congratulations, guys. I know you've been waiting for that. But that has been the grade for the new hires of 2024 in AEW. Callie is standing right here. If you can hear her heavy breathing, she wants to go for her walk here now. You deserve it, girl. You deserve it. I appreciate your patience. But I appreciate you guys too. And let me know. I'm gonna scroll through here really quick. But I'm gonna jump off, try to catch up on AEW as well. Again, I wasn't planning on going this long, guys, but I appreciate you for hanging around with me and interacting and just being here on Christmas, right? It's Christmas night, guys. I almost said Christmas Eve, but it's Christmas. So I appreciate that. But I'm just going through and making sure. Was Marina Shafir signed this year? If she was, I would give her. I don't think she was signed this year though. I would give her a B because obviously she's been presented as a badass, right? But she hasn't had any matches and she's just beating up random people. So presentation is why she's so strong. But until she has matches, and again, I could be wrong. But until she's like putting in a couple matches at least, like I need a little bit more. But yeah, that wraps it up, guys. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will look into. I forget what you called it. But yeah, pretty much like doing like a kind of like a not a live stream. Obviously, this is a live stream, but maybe doing like a simulcast type thing with the shows, like an AEW Dynamite, for instance, or maybe a PLE or a pay per view one of these days. If that's something that you guys would be down for. If you want more or TNA content as well, let me know. Let me know. Like I said earlier, TNA doesn't get as much love as they should, so I have been thinking about that in NXT, but there's just so much time in the week, and I struggle enough as it is. But I really appreciate you guys. Again, thank you so much for joining. All you guys, there's too many of you guys to name. But I definitely appreciate all you guys, and I don't want to miss anyone. But NXT content for sure. All right, 2025. I will look into making a schedule for 2025 and delegating more time for the Kick-Ass Podcast. I appreciate it. But Merry Christmas to all you guys. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate. If you celebrate nothing, I hope you've had a good time with your family, your loved ones. If you're traveling, be safe. Watch Dynamite. Support wrestling. You know what I mean? Even if it's shitty, at least watch it so we can talk about it. You know what I mean? And yeah, until next time, guys, I really appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all you all. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. You guys know what to do at this point. You guys know better than me. But thank you guys. I truly appreciate it. And again, until next time, stay safe out there and enjoy some wrestling, guys. Take care.